Now, today I want to dive into a story that probably didn't get nearly the attention. I guarantee it didn't get nearly the attention it deserves, but it should, especially for those of us who take situational awareness seriously. Now, a few weeks ago, 2 Mexican nationals were pulled over in Canyon City, Colorado for what seemed like a simple traffic violation, failing to dim their headlights and improper signaling. Nothing out of the ordinary there, right? Except when the Fremont County deputies searched the white Chevy van that they were driving, they discovered 180,000 rounds of rifle ammunition packed inside. Yeah, 180,000 rounds. It was 18 cases at 1,000 rounds per case. The suspects were identified as Cesar Solis, 41, and Humberto Guevara, 24. Both were in the United States on B2 tourist visas, which are short-term visitor visas intended for tourism, vacationing, and visiting family, and that type of stuff. They're definitely not intended for work, residency, or transporting 180,000 rounds of rifle ammunition around the country. Once the ammunition was discovered by the police, Solis and Guevara were arrested and charged with unlawful possession of ammunition by aliens admitted under non-immigrant visas. Now, to help paint the picture on just how serious this is, I'm going to play a short 30-second news clip from KRDO 13 News in Colorado that really covers down on what exactly happened here.
2 Mexican citizens are facing federal charges after they were allegedly traveling in a car carrying 180,000 rounds of ammunition in southern Colorado. According to the criminal complaint, Martinez Solis and Ivan Amador Guevara were arrested after a Fremont County deputy pulled them over in Canyon City for not dimming their headlights as they drove by. During that stop, officers found 180 boxes of ammunition, each of which contained 1,000 rounds.
Now that you heard it directly from the mainstream, let's dig a little deeper into that. According to law enforcement, the two men said the ammo was destined for Pueblo, Colorado. They said that they had purchased the ammunition in Salt Lake City, Utah, after traveling to Denver from Mexico, where they bought the van they used to transport the ammunition. So basically, what happened was they flew in from Mexico into Denver, bought this Chevy van, drove to Salt Lake City, picked up the 180,000 rounds of ammunition from wherever they got it from. Then they headed south towards Pueblo, Colorado. When they hit Canyon City, they forgot to dim their headlights. And next thing you know, cop pulls them over, looks in the back of the van, and it's like, hey, what do you got 180,000 rounds of rifle ammo hanging out here? So let's think through this, though, right? The mainstream reporting hasn't definitively tied these two individuals to a cartel, MS-13, or any other criminal organization. But let's be honest. 180,000 rounds of .308 and 7.62 millimeter ammo isn't something your average gun enthusiast stockpiles in the back of a Chevy van. This amount of rifle ammunition suggests an organized, well-funded operation, and it doesn't take a counterterrorism analyst to recognize that the most likely end users are cartels or transnational criminal organizations. Now, some might wonder, were they planning to run this ammo south across the border into Mexico? And I don't think that's the case. And here's why. With the intense scrutiny currently on the U.S.-Mexico border, trying to move massive amounts of ammunition into Mexico is extremely risky. You've got the Border Patrol, the military, all kinds of stuff happening on the border. ICE, all this stuff's going on down there, right? And so even for experienced smugglers, that could be a tough proposition to have a van load of rifle ammunition cruising across the border. The bottom line is border security is ramped up, and a seizure like this would be a loss for any smuggling operation. So instead, it's much more plausible that this ammunition was meant to stay here inside the United States. And that leads us to two very troubling possibilities here. First, the cartels could be stockpiling ammunition in the United States to prepare for future conflict. I mean, there's been a lot of talk recently about potential U.S. military operations against the cartels. And the cartels are known, when people target them, like when their leaders are captured and all that, they go to war. They start burning it all down. So if that were to happen here, it would make perfect sense for the cartels to pre-position weapons and ammo inside our borders, giving them the ability to strike back and get revenge without relying on dangerous cross-border supply lines. Second, the cartels may be acting as middlemen, and there's credible intelligence, if you listen to Sarah Adams and others, suggesting several thousand trained jihadi terrorists have entered the U.S. during the past several years, blending in with the ways of illegal immigration. If that's true, those groups would need weapons and ammunition, and the cartels, already being deeply entrenched in smuggling networks here in the U.S., and the cartels probably smuggled many of these terrorists in the country, so they already have contact and great relationships established. They would be the perfect suppliers of large quantities of ammunition. I have to assume that if one van was caught, there are probably multiple vans, who knows how many vans of ammunition that have not been caught, that have hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of rounds socked away in different parts of the US for cartels or terrorist organizations to use. Either scenario spells serious trouble for everyday Americans if it comes to pass. Now, if cartels are preparing for conflict, or if terrorists are arming up for attacks on U.S. soil, then the threat to soft targets like malls, grocery stores, schools, places of worship becomes very real very fast. Remember, 3-4 months ago, there were reports of groups of individuals investigating and prying into and asking and inquiring about the security procedures for churches in both Southern California and back in Virginia. And a lot of people said that these were Muslim males, and I believe one of them had a tie to a terrorist organization. So they're going around asking churches about their security situation. Again, soft targets and everything that's going on. So this is why it is essential for each of us to maintain a high level of situational awareness every day. That doesn't mean we have to go paranoid, but we need to know how to work our situational awareness so we have a good idea of what's going on around us, because gone are the days of normalcy bias and the thought that that could never happen here, right? That was a mindset that we used to have. We can't have that mindset anymore. We must train ourselves to recognize the early signs of trouble, know and have a plan if something does happen, and to be prepared to respond, because the threats are already inside the wire. They're inside the borders of our country. It's just a matter of time. And ultimately, the world is changing fast. So staying aware, staying prepared, and staying resilient has never been more critical.